Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And what is up, you guys? Welcome in after another Mets victory. They hold on just barely by the skin of their teeth to take down the Pittsburgh Pirates in Game 2 of this series here on Tuesday night. Your final score 2-1 as they improve to 12 games over 500, the high watermark of the season for the New York Mets this year. So let's get into it. First, let me just say this. I said it yesterday after the Mets won 4-3. Of course, it was a walk-off, but a walk-off sacrifice fly. These have been two of the most mind-numbingly boring baseball games that the Mets have played this year. I don't know if it's because there's just not a lot of juice playing the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are not a very good team. We obviously got to see POSTGAME yesterday, which was pretty cool. But overall, man, these have just been some low-scoring, very low-action affairs for the most part. So nearly fell asleep in the middle of this one, if I'm being honest with you. But nonetheless, happy to see the Mets come out and get another W. Doesn't matter how you do it or what the score was, at least they keep stacking up wins. It's now 3 in a row for the Mets, who have bounced back mightily from that little bit of a speed bump that it seemed like they might be hitting in the St. Louis part of their trip, and then when they went to Arizona. So hopefully Mets fans are feeling calm again. I mean, they should. They're actually 28-15, so they're 13 games over 500, and that is the high watermark for the season. Prior to tonight's win, 12 was the highest, which they also held earlier in the season. So things are going great in Flushing Meadow, Queens. So let's get into this one today. Obviously, Kodai Senga was on the mound, and the guy just continues to pitch scoreless innings. I mean, another great start for Senga as he goes out there and he gives us 5 2/3 innings. He ends up getting charged with 1 run. I don't want to skip too far ahead. We'll get into that 6th inning in a little bit here. But overall, Senga looked pretty good. He did have to work out of some trouble in a few of those innings. The Pirates put up some pretty decent at-bats. I thought it was really interesting how much he used the ghost fork today. They were referencing it on the broadcast. Somewhere up around 45% of his pitches were the ghost fork. So that and his two-seam were really the only 2 pitches that he was throwing in this one. So that was really interesting. I'm not sure if that was by design because of the Pirates hitters not having a ton of experience or being a really great lineup, or if he was just feeling that pitch today. It definitely had a lot of bite. Pirates did a pretty good job laying off of it for the most part, but he did issue 3 walks in this one. So obviously some of those would drive his pitch count up and make him have to stay out there a little bit longer. But in the end, a really solid performance from Kodai Senga. We go to the bottom of the first, and the Mets get things going thanks to Juan Soto. Base hit to get things started for them. And then stealing second base, Juan Soto is speed. He gets a stolen bag. He's now got a couple on the year. That puts a runner in scoring position. Pete Alonso struck out, but Brandon Nimmo going to left center field the other way into the gap and up the alley for an RBI double to put the Mets on the board. So really happy with what I've been seeing from Brandon Nimmo lately. Going to the other side of the field, using the opposite field. You know, when Nimmo's at his best, and this is true about most major league hitters, they're going to the opposite field, and the pull will come if they have it in them. We know Nimmo can obviously drive the ball out of the park, but he was struggling for the first month or so of this season. All of a sudden now, Brandon Nimmo has been one of the better hitters in the Mets lineup over the last week. He's actually got his batting average up to 226. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it was even lower and worse than that earlier this time last week. So really happy to see hopefully Nimmo coming around. And then from there, really, there wasn't a whole lot, just a bunch of zeros on the scoreboard, 2nd through the 5th inning. No run scored between these two teams. At one point, Kodai Senga was working on 13 consecutive scoreless innings dating back to his previous 2 starts. He had been so tremendous, and he brought it again today. Again, gives up 6 hits, I believe it was. Yeah, 6 hits and I think it was 3 walks. Let me just double check that. 6 hits and 2 walks for Senga. So obviously drove his pitch count up a little bit. He was at 98 there in the bottom of the top of the 6th. Had a runner aboard, and then Carlos Mendoza came out with Hero, the translator for Senga, to see if he was going to be able to continue. He said, yeah, let's go for it. And then one of the weirder plays that I think I've seen in a long time, Mark Vientos looked like on first glance, at least in real time, that ball just went under his mitt. No, upon further review on replay, the ball actually goes through his webbing, which brought up a really interesting thought for me. Why do they even put hold webbings in gloves? I mean, like, I had one like that growing up too and playing baseball or softball, but I don't understand it. It only gives you an opportunity for something just like what happened to Mark Vientos to happen. In any case, it puts runners at first and second, and then later on, Reed Garrett coming in. And this was probably the worst we've seen Reed Garrett so far, obviously. He issues back-to-back walks out of the bullpen. A 4-pitch walk to the first batter that he faces. He then gets to 0-2 on the next batter before driving it to 3-2 and then walking in the tying run. I mean, that was definitely, no doubt about it, the worst that we have seen Reed Garrett look so far. Am I concerned? No, he has been great. We know that he had a little bit of a folly over the weekend as well, but he's still been tremendous. He's still the guy that I want getting the ball out of the bullpen with men on base, and that's exactly what the formula has been for Carlos Mendoza so far this season. Runners on base, traffic on the base pass, you're going to Reed Garrett. He obviously did not get the job done here today, but did do well to induce the inning-ending ground out, though, to first base with the bases still loaded there and keep this game tied. So no harm, no foul. I mean, a little bit of harm, a little bit of foul, I guess, if you want to put it that way, but a 1-1 ball game nonetheless. And then in the 7th inning with 2 outs, what is going on? I don't know what type of Gatorade Brett Baty has been drinking, but another home run, his 4th homer on this homestand. So we know he had his first one off of Zach Wheeler right before he got sent down. Maybe 3 days later, he was sent back to AAA, gets called back up, and all he has been doing is hitting. I don't know what has gotten into Brett Baty. I don't know if I believe this is the real Brett Baty or an imposter pretending to be him, but 4 home runs now on this homestand. Obviously, the 2 on Saturday against the Cubs, another one on Friday, and then tonight's for 4. So, wow. I mean, just love what you got to see out of Brett Baty right now, going to the opposite field, using that power. I said this on a stream last week, or it must have been Saturday after his 2 home run game. When he first came up, a lot of scouts compared him as a prospect to Freddie Freeman. Now, ascending to that type of level of ball player is just unrealistic. I mean, let's be fair, but the ability to have line-to-line power, to use the gaps, and specifically to go to the opposite field as a lefty, that's always been the case with Baty in AAA, but he has never done it in the majors. Now he has 3 of his 5 home runs going to left field the opposite way. So really love to see that out of Brett Baty, as that ends up being the game winner, but just narrowly. Ryan Stanek came in the 8th. He looked pretty sharp there, had a couple strikeouts. Love to see that from Stanek. He looks like he's ready to go back into those high leverage situations. That's now 2 consecutive appearances for him where he pitched the 8th inning in a 1-run lead. Hopefully that is the case. Like I've said, no AJ Minter. We need Ryan Stanek to step up and be that setup man, at least for right now, until we get closer to the trade deadline and see what kind of additions that this team makes. So really happy to see that from him. And then we would go to the 9th inning. First batter, Edwin Diaz, no problem, gets the strikeout there. Then the walk, the 4-pitch walk that we always dread with Edwin Diaz. It's never not a possibility when Edwin Diaz is on the mound. I wasn't too worried yet. I still thought he had decent control. A couple of those pitches to Reynolds were close, right on the upper corner on the outside part of the plate. Didn't get the call on the first pitch, I thought. But then things got a little bit dicey. We get to 1st and 2nd. Obviously, actually, we had a runner steal second, which is a huge problem for Edwin Diaz right now. He is not even giving a glance to base runners at first base right now, and they are just taking off on him. And obviously that puts the tying run in scoring position. We then get it to 1st and 3rd, another stolen base with 2 outs to put the go-ahead run 180 feet from home plate. And then with 2 outs, a rocket of a line drive off the bat of Joey Bart that I swear I was thinking, this is it. He just gave the Pirates the lead. This game's over. The Mets are not going to win tonight. And somehow Luis Angel Acuna, perfectly positioned right there. Beautiful play on that one hop that came up basically to him at the letters as he throws out Bart to end this game. Put it in the books. 2-1 win for the New York Mets. I am hyped. What do you guys think? What are your big takeaways from this game? I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. I see we got some fans in here now. John Talento, LFGM. Yes, sir. 13 games over 500. Got to have one of the best, if not the best record in baseball right now. I know the Dodgers and us are neck and neck. Dead yo, go Mets. Tony, dive to Citi Field. Give Vientos your glove, please, man. I don't know what happened there. They say that they tightened the webbing there for him in between innings, but that is just so strange. And like Ron Darling said, if that happened to me with my glove, I'd put that in my locker and I would never let it see the light of day again. You can't let your glove betray you the way that Vientos's did tonight. That was just strange. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in a major league game before. And it didn't even break, which was weird too. Normally, if that happens with the webbing, it's going to break the webbing, but it just went through the hole that he has in there. So strange all around for sure. Talento Convientos get a new glove. Yeah, straight up. Alonso, your bathroom breaks better. Yeah, Pete Alonso ends up getting Kodai Senga a pitch clock violation. I think it must have been in the 5th inning because he was late getting out to first base. So my first question is, in between innings, who is throwing the ball to the other infielders? Because normally it's the first baseman throwing it, obviously, to everybody around the horn. So who was warming up at first base and getting those guys ready? Or were they just throwing the ball together? And I guess, yeah, maybe Pete Alonso had to take a little potty break or something in between. But yeah, definitely, Talento, I'm with you, man. You got to time those potty breaks a lot better, Pete. Diaz always scares the ish out of me. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Nimmo newscast of wicked defying gravity. Yeah, we got to talk about that too. Real quick on Diaz, though. Yeah, he scares me, but he's 9 for 9 on save opportunities so far this year. And at the end of the day, if he's getting the job done, he's getting the job done. You know, I mean, that 3-run homer to Bryson Stott in that game against the Phillies where the Mets end up still holding on and winning that game. You know, that was a little different. He came into that inning in the 9th after some other relievers had put some traffic on the bases. But for the most part, I felt pretty confident about Edwin Diaz. If I'm not remembering one, I might be wrong about this, but I would say the one that worried me the most was probably the second week of the season out in Sacramento when the Mets were playing the Athletics. And that was one where Diaz was getting hit hard. He was walking base hitters and putting base runners on and giving up a couple of runs. That was probably, I think, the worst appearance that we've seen from Diaz. And even in that one, he converted the save. Like I said, he's 9 for 9. So happy about that. Nimmo is ridiculous. Like, we've been talking all year and even as far back as last year and years prior to that about Nimmo's legs, about his hamstring, about his plantar fasciitis, his ankle, his calf. It's always something. And I'm not getting on him. I'm just saying it's the reality. And yet it seems every night the Mets are at Citi Field, Nimmo is going up against that left field wall and making a great catch. He did it on Sunday against the Cubs. I believe actually it could have been yesterday, actually. I think it might have been yesterday he did that. And he had almost a carbon copy of that catch today as well. Yeah, it was yesterday when he robbed Isaiah. I think it was Kiner Falefa. And then, of course, again tonight. So really great defense from Nimmo. He looks like he's starting to feel really comfortable at the plate as well. So love to see that. Guys, what is your big takeaway from today? Who is your MVP for this game? Like I said, Mets are 13 games over 500. It's their high watermark for the year. You got to be pumped about what's happening. The Phillies are in action at some point tonight. Let's see. They might have already played, actually. They are playing. No, they were postponed. So as of right now, the Mets are 3 games up on the Phillies. They entered play today with a 2.5 game lead in the National League East. Obviously, with the Phillies not playing and the Mets winning, will gain half a game. So 3 games up. Again, it's only the third week of May now. It's second week for sure. Too early to be looking at the NL East standings or anything like that. We really want to focus on the Mets right now, their quality of play. I will say, I'm a little surprised Brad Keller shut this Mets lineup down as much as he did. You know, we came out of that Cubs series where in 3 games the Mets hit 9 home runs and they scored 7 runs in 2 of those games. And to come out here and get shut down by a guy like Brad Keller and the rest of the Pirates bullpen, it's been a little surprising. Paul Skeens, yeah, I can understand that one. Totally. No problem there. Didn't even expect to win yesterday, if I'm being totally honest. They somehow do come away with a win, put up some great at-bats against Paul Skeens. David Peterson went toe-to-toe with him, but Brad Keller, come on, we got to be better than that. Tomorrow, we'll be going against Bailey Falter with Clay Holmes on the mound, so hopefully the Mets bats will be able to produce a lot more than they have so far in these first 2 games. 4 runs yesterday, just 2 runs today. That won't cut it against normal teams. The Pirates are not a normal team, and for none of the good reasons. So hopefully the bats do start to warm up here in the next couple of days. Mets are 17 at Ford Citi Field. Dude, it's been insane. Like, you want to talk about home field advantage? Like, I don't know what it is in the water there in Queens right now, but when they are playing at Citi Field, they look locked in. You don't see any mental errors from them for the most part, other than Jose Buteau yesterday disengaging 3 times and getting called for a balk. But other than that, you don't see a lot of mental errors. You see them playing crisp baseball, good defense. For the most part, hitting pretty well outside of, a couple games here and there like today. I really have been so impressed. The fans have been into it. These last 2 nights have not been great crowds. I don't blame the fans that live in New York. They're playing the Pirates, number 1. Number 2, the Knicks were playing last night. And number 3, they've been pretty wet and ugly, miserable looking nights out there in New York. So I don't blame the fans for not showing up for these last 2 games as much as we've seen them. But I do think that they have played a huge part in it. And the Mets, the players are feeding off of it too. So it has been really, really fun to see. So happy all around. Tony, are you trading Blade Tidwell for Luis Robert Jr.? No, I'm not trading Blade Tidwell. I am interested in Luis Robert Jr., but I wouldn't trade Blade Tidwell. I like the idea of getting a real center fielder here. I mean, Tyrone Taylor has held it down very admirably. I think he could continue to do it in that role. Great fielder, and I think he's a better hitter than probably most people would give him credit for. But Luis Robert Jr. at his ceiling could be a 30 home run bat. That's a big if. I've yet to see it, at least in a number of years now. He's been injured. He hasn't lived up to expectations. I just can't go and trade a young, controllable starting pitcher in Blade Tidwell or any of the other guys in the Mets farm system for a dude like that. If anything, I am starting it out with a guy like Brett Beatty. But now that he's on this hot streak, I'm taking him off the table too. I mean, about a week and a half ago, I would have considered that. Hey, Brett Beatty and Luis Robert Jr., similar numbers over the past couple years. Beatty has more control by about 4 years than Luis Robert Jr. does. That seems like a trade that maybe gets a conversation started. Maybe the Mets got to send another prospect in like the 20 to 25 range, kind of a throw-in guy. But I would not do Blade Tidwell or any of the other impressive starting arms in the Mets farm system right now for a guy like Luis Robert Jr. that just hasn't really proven anything in a number of years. So that's just my opinion. I don't know. What would you guys do? Would you trade Blade Tidwell for Luis Robert Jr.? And are you even interested in a guy like Luis Robert Jr.? I'm interested at the right price. I just think that the White Sox are going to overvalue him. And I think that there's a lot of other teams out there that are interested that are going to drive the market price up on him. So I don't know if that's for me or not. Lightning just like Acuna. Yeah, he is. He is really fast. Tyrone Taylor's pretty fast too. Luis Angel Acuna is pretty fast too. We got some speed on this team too. So as much as it'd be nice to bring in Luis Robert Jr., I definitely would have to know what the cost is in terms of prospects before I'm pulling the trigger on any type of trade like that. So let's go through the lineups real quick. Really tough night for Francisco Lindor. Brad Keller owned him. 3 strikeouts. Lindor takes an 0 for 4. You don't see that many times out of Francisco Lindor. He's been so good this year. Still, though, 302 average on the year. Juan Soto had his lone base hit coming in the first inning. Also drew 2 walks, just bumping up those OBP numbers. Got to get those numbers up. Pete Alonso with an 0 for 4 in this one. His batting average, I mean, we knew he wasn't going to hit 350 this year, right? Let's be fair about it. But down to 310 now. He's definitely cooled off quite a bit. Nice to still see him get a couple of RBIs, including that sacrifice game winner last night. So even if he's not getting a base hit or multiple base hits every day like he was the first month of the season, still finding a way to contribute to this team. Nimmo, we know the RBI double. That was his lone hit in 4 at-bats. Mark Vientos roped a single into center field as well today, 1 for 3. He's brought that batting average up to 245, OPS to 720, so we love that. Jeff McNeil went 0 for 3. Francisco Alvarez, we need to have a conversation about Francisco Alvarez because I'm just saying this team plays better with Luis Torrens behind the plate. And I love Alvy, and I'm not ready to give up on his development as still potentially the future catcher of this team for a number of years that could be a 20 home run, 25 home run bat. But at some point, Francisco Alvarez needs to show it. At some point, the baby Mets need to grow up. We've seen strides from Luis Angel Acuna. We obviously saw what Mark Vientos did last year. And so far now, going back to last year when he missed a good chunk of the season with injury, then began this season on the injured list, and now to where we are here today, Francisco Alvarez has just not shown a lot of the promise that we were hoping he would be that catcher of the future for this team. So 0 for 3 today. That drops his batting average on the year down to 239, or I'm sorry, oh my God, I am blind, guys. 280, so still a relatively healthy batting average for the season, but I have not seen super impressive at-bats from him. He's still chasing that fastball up at the ice. He's still diving away at that slider on the outer part of the plate in the left-handed batter's box. This is not me trying to get on him and call him out and say he's never going to be the guy we thought he was, but I'd like to see it come a little bit faster. He's 25 years old now. Hey, he's going to be a daddy soon. Hey, you can't be daddy going for 0 for 3. Come on now, Frank. Let's go. Come on, Alvy. Beatty obviously had the home run, but also another base hit in this one, a single into right field. He goes 2 for 3. He's brought his batting average up to 239. And then Tyrone Taylor went 0 for 3 in this one. So overall, again, like I said, pretty lackluster performance from the Mets lineup today. Nothing super impressive from any one individual outside of, I guess I would say, Brett Beatty, who's going to get my MVP at least for the hitters in this one. 2 for 3, has what turns out to be the game-winning home run, 4th home run in this homestand in total for the season. 4 home runs now over the 5 home runs, and 4 of them coming over these last 5 games. Really, really happy to see it for Beatty. I hope it lasts. That's all I got to say. I hope it lasts with Beatty. I don't know if that'll be the case, but hopefully that is what's going to happen here. And Brett Beatty lives up to that first round draft pick. Oh my gosh, I got caught in mouth here, guys. Let me go to the chat here so I can stop yapping. Tony, he's lightning fast like Acuna. I'm doing it. Garrett Reed needs a prescription for his eyeglasses. I don't know if he wore them this year, but I could have sworn that we did see Reed Garrett wear glasses last year. I might be wrong about that. I can't remember, but I could have sworn that he used to wear them last year, but I had not seen them this year. Gary was talking to Ronnie about it on the broadcast, and they weren't sure either, but it was definitely the first time this year here in 2025. He definitely needs to get that prescription checked, I think, because he did not look like he knew where that ball was going when he came in to relieve Senga there in the 6th inning. Not his best performance there. Let's see. John Talento, Pete's average dropping like a safe. Yeah, man. I'm not too worried about it. You know, he's still hitting for a little bit of power, a couple home run, and, I think a few games ago, and he's still contributing, getting sack flies. So as long as it's not that miserable looking at bat where he was striking out a ton like he was all of last year, I'll be okay with it. He'll come out of it out the other side, and I think he'll get closer to what we were seeing this first month of the season as well. I think we got a really highly motivated Pete Alonso Polar Bear on our hands here. Pete's average, James, what's up? Terrence should start 40% of the games. Broadcast looked at 100 picks of Garrett. No glass. Okay, so no, he's never worn prescription glasses before. Okay, I could have sworn he had, but first time, I don't know if I can't imagine it was a style thing, because that's just kind of weird for a big league reliever to just pull out all of a sudden in the middle of a season. So if they are prescription, he might want to get them looked at, because he didn't seem to know where he was looking at. Yeah, I agree with you, James. I really do believe that Terrence should be getting more playing time. And I'm not trying to make an indictment on Alvy. Again, I don't want to do anything to disrupt his development as hopefully the catcher of this team for the next decade. But at the same time, Luis Terrence has been tremendous. I want him to feel like he's still involved on this team. And Alvarez, it wouldn't hurt for him to get some time at DH. The opportunity is there. Obviously, you want to keep playing Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty and rotating them between third base and DH, especially with the way that both of them are swinging the bat right now. But obviously, with Jesse Winker out, there's an opportunity for the Mets to get Francisco Alvarez in there as designated hitter as well, even on the days that he doesn't catch. So that might be an opportunity, a spot where you could still get Terrence in for some playing time while also still letting Francisco Alvarez just, hey, focus on this pitcher. Focus on your next at-bat. Don't be so consumed and worried with the pitching staff, which is really admirable that he does. And he does do a fantastic job with the pitchers on this staff. Every single pitcher he's ever worked with has given that compliment to Alvarez, but is it taken away from his ability and his focus at the plate? Maybe that could be something the Mets can look at, and giving him some opportunities at designated hitter to just focus on what he's doing in the box instead of behind the plate. So Real quick, let's take a look at the pitching performances. Obviously, we ran through Senga 5 2/3. Looked like he kind of ran out of gas there in the sixth. Those balls were hit pretty hard off of him, even though obviously one of them should have been in Mark Vientos' mitt. But nonetheless, a really good performance from Senga. Gives up just the 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 6 hits. So he lowers his season, or actually his ERA rises from 1.08 to 1.22. It's cruel to have 5 2/3 innings of 1-run ball, and to see your earned run average rise again, just a testament to how good Senga has been. Obviously, we know it was a rough outing for Reed Garrett. He gives up 2 walks in the 6th inning. He ends up recording just 1 out. But again, this is one of those. Garrett's been so good this year that I'm not going to get worried about it. I'm still going to him the next time that they have runners on base and the other team is threatening for sure. Max Kranick came in and he had a 1-2-3 spiffy 7th inning. I mean, it went by just like that. It was quick. The Mets got their bats back into the dugout, and that is when Brett Beatty hit his home run to untie this game. So, hey, credit to Max Kranick, and guess what? He ends up getting the win in this one. So, congrats to Max Kranick, who continues to be really solid. And then Ryan Stanek, like I said, I think he's back into that role. I think he can be trusted again in those high leverage situations. This is now his 2nd consecutive appearance after he was kind of demoted, if you want to call it, to some lower leverage situations. 2nd consecutive appearance here now where he has pitched in the 8th inning, and not only in the 8th inning, but in the 8th inning with a 1-run lead. And so far he has passed with flying colors. He goes 1-2-3 in the 8th tonight with 2 strikeouts, giving the ball off to Edwin Diaz, who ends up having 1 walk, a base hit, and then ends up just narrowly escaping this one with a nice little save for the Mets. So his 9th save of the season as the Mets improve again to 28-15. That is 13 games over 500 on the year. Guys, how you feeling? I'm pretty pumped about it. Again, it's early. We can't get too excited about everything, but good thing to just beef up on these bad teams like the Pirates right now. We're going to have a tough stretch coming up. James, you're talking about we got the lefty tomorrow. Beatty and McNeil will definitely sit. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, unless like Mendy's got something up his sleeve like he did against Jameson Tyone. You never know with Carlos Mendoza. The dude pushes the right buttons more often than not, it seems. So we'll see about that. But definitely a tough schedule coming up after this. Obviously, we get Thursday off. And then we go to the Bronx for the weekend series with the Yankees. Get your popcorn ready. That is going to be fun. I am going to be excited. We'll be doing all kinds of content over the weekend. So be sure to subscribe to this channel. Be sure to leave this video a like. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way toward helping the channel. And it's free. So, just give it a like. Come on, why not? We'll be doing a lot of Yankees-Mets coverage here over the weekend. After that, though, the Mets go right out to Boston and then come home for the LA Dodgers, dun, dun, dun. So we're going to have a very tough little 9-game stretch. Boston hasn't really been playing up to what I think they're capable of. The Yankees have been rolling lately. I don't think they're as good as they're playing right now, so whatever. But obviously we know the Dodgers are the cream of the crop, obviously. So tough 9-game stretch coming up for sure. But again, don't apologize for winning games against bad teams. You can only play who is on your schedule, and that's exactly what the Mets have done these last 2 nights as they get 2 wins against the Pirates. Again, improved to 13 games over 500. 3 games up on the Phillies now, who were postponed for rain this evening. So a nice little evening for the Mets. We'll keep an eye on that Braves game. I'm not sure if they've gone final yet. Let's actually double check that really quickly here before we wrap things up. How are you guys feeling? What's your big takeaway from today in this game? How are you guys feeling about Kodai Senga? How are you feeling about the lineup right now? Who's your MVP in this one? Let me know in the comment section below. Sound off in it. Atlanta ends up beating the Nationals. Thanks for nothing, Washington. Typical, right? They're always just getting whooped by the Braves or the Phillies. So thank you for that. Nationals not. But still, the Mets are only worried about themselves right now. Can't get too invested or worried about the NL East standings here on the 2nd week of May. So, guys, that's going to do it for right now. Like I said, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave this video a like if you want to see daily Mets content. I'm always pumping new stuff out. You can also follow me on all my other platforms in the bio down here below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those things. Catch me on there where I also post my daily Mets content. Guys, that's going to do it for right now. Until next time, I'm